3 times a week, and then talking in that language for 1 hour is not enough to actually know it. You will never learn a language that way if you don't talk every day and try to write down all you know and then go through it again. It's a widely known fact that actually speaking a language is the best way to learn that language. But if you've just started out learning a language, it's not easy to just speak it, right? I think that's a wrong assumption, and in today's video I want to talk about why it's wrong. The title of this video will most likely be something like the best way to start learning a language and also speak immediately. I mean, that's the goal we all have, right? You just want to speak. Some people believe that if you start learning a language, it's impossible to have a conversation up to 1 month into your learning process, and that you have to like learn 1,000 words to be able to do that. But I think that's not the case. If you think like that, that's how it's going to be, because your learning process will be adjusted to this idea of not being able to speak to people. Most people, when starting out with a language, learn good morning, good evening, what are you doing? Are you good? I mean, those words are important and you will have to learn them eventually, but in my opinion, those are not the most important words. They're not even the most used words in most languages. So the number one thing I would suggest in this whole context of learning a language quickly and being able to speak quickly is learn the most used words in your particular language. Textbooks always start easy. They want to build a foundation and then go from that. I mean, that's a very, very good way to do it, but it's not a fast way. You can find lists on the internet with the most used words in any language because there are websites that dedicate their life, well, their lifetime, to just collecting words like these and data points like these. So you can use those to make your Anki cards, to make your Quizlet cards, or whatever apps you use to just practice your words. Just start from the top and just go through the whole list and remember all the words. In my opinion, around 200 to 300 words are enough in the beginning. So learn 300 words and then just try speaking with the sentences you will build yourself. Let's get into grammar. Look up the grammar for your language. The basic grammar. You don't have to look at anything else. Just look at some very, very easy grammar structures so that you can actually form sentences. Easy sentences like I want to eat, I am eating, I will go eat, and stuff like that. Learn like the 5 words that are in those sentences so you can understand them. But other than that, don't learn anything else. Just concentrate on the word structure and how to put those words in order to make a sentence. After you've done that and looked at the basic structures of how your language works, you can go to the next step. What I believe in is learning words with connections. If you have a sentence that makes sense for you, it's much easier to remember sentences as a whole and not just words and then trying to make sentences in your head while going from one language to your other language, because it's very hard and it takes a lot of time to translate from English or from your native language into the language you're trying to learn. After you found a list like that, think about how you can combine the top 30 words into sentences that you think are useful. So a big tip for you is take sentences and learn them as a sentence. Of course, this will change after the first few weeks of learning, but for the beginning, it's very important to do that so that you get a feel for the language. It's basically the same principle of hearing someone speak to you and then just imitating what they're saying. You're making your own sentences and then you're trying to imitate the correctness of those sentences. Of course, those sentences won't be correct all the time if you make them yourself. So of course, if you have the possibility to have a native speaker help you with correcting those sentences that you are building with those words from that list, it would be good to have somebody to do that for you. But if you don't, you can just go on apps like HelloTalk or Tandem and just ask people to do that there. Those apps are specifically made for having people correct your sentences, and it will help you understand what you haven't understood about the grammar. The last really, really important thing I have for you is write down the stuff you learn. Take the sentences and the single words and write them into a notebook, preferably separate. So have a notebook for your words and a notebook for your sentences. Write all of them down and maybe also enumerate them if you can. It is very important if you want to keep track of what you already know and to just go over the stuff again so you don't forget about it. I believe in having a database about your knowledge is very, very important because you can just skim through it in the bus and you remember everything if you do this every second or every third day while you're going to work, because if you read through the words that you already know, you will never forget them. As long as it's not like 5,000 words, it's very easy to do this if you have the time, of course. But I guess we all kind of have time right now, so stay safe, friends. The inspiration for making this video is actually the way people learn English in Japan. High schoolers in Japan learn English on a high academic level, so their English is actually really good when it comes to questions about English. But as soon as they have to speak, they get shy and they stop speaking because they've never spoken in their life. I really think that speaking is much more important for people than actually using the language in an academical way. I have learned 4 languages academically, and I don't really remember anything about what I've learned. 3 times a week, and then talking in that language for 1 hour is not enough to actually know it. If you have any questions to language learning in general or to Japanese, which I think I speak quite decently, just leave me know in the comments. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.